Okay, so today we're diving into a really unique generation, one that was basically defined by this huge tech shift that happened right when they were kids. We're talking about the bridge generation. Let's get right into it.
Let me ask you something. Do you actually remember life before the internet? Like, really remember it? But at the same time, you literally can't imagine your life without it now? Yeah? If that hits home for you, then stick around. This is for you.
I mean, think about it. Maybe you went from hunting for a payphone with a calling card to having this supercomputer in your pocket. Or maybe you're someone who spent hours making the perfect mixtape for someone, and now you just whip up a Spotify playlist in like 2 minutes. Remember lugging those heavy encyclopedias around for a school project? Now all of human knowledge is just a click away. For you, this wasn't some gradual thing. No, this was a full-on, rapid-fire revolution. So if you were born sometime in the 90s, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You lived this firsthand. You're part of this super specific group of people who had a totally analog childhood that was immediately followed by a hyper-digital adulthood. I mean, your most important years, your formative years, were literally spent spanning two completely different worlds. And let's be clear, this isn't some dusty old history lesson we're talking about. This was your actual reality. You probably remember that horrible screeching sound of a dial-up modem, right? Or the absolute thrill of getting your first flip phone. And you for sure remember the day the iPhone came out and just changed everything. You watched it all unfold in real time. So what do you even call this really unique experience of having one foot in the analog past and the other planted firmly in the digital future? Well, sociologists actually have a name for it. They call you the bridge generation. And there you have it. That's the textbook definition. You're basically a living, breathing connection between two totally different eras. It's not just that you saw the change happen, you literally embody that transition. You are the bridge. But look, this is about way more than just feeling nostalgic for old tech, right? This whole dual experience, it fundamentally shaped everything about you. Your mindset, your values, how you see the world. It's not just about what you remember, it's about who you became because of it all. And that whole process, it created this really fascinating duality. It's like living through such a massive shift had these amazing positive effects on your psychology, but also some really unique challenges. They're really just two sides of the very same coin.
So on the one hand, the upside, you developed this incredible resilience. I mean, you had to constantly adapt to new gadgets, new software, new ways of living. It probably makes you one of the most adaptable groups of people ever. But then there's the other side. The rise of social media happened at the exact same time you were figuring out who you were. And that led to way more perfectionism and that constant nagging fear of missing out, FOMO.
Okay, so let's talk about the positive stuff, the values that this generation really champions. We see this super clear preference for spending money on experiences, not stuff. Which, when you think about it, makes sense, right? Experiences were kind of the new currency on the social media platforms you grew up with. And at work, oh man, there's a huge emphasis on work-life balance, on mental well-being, and a serious demand for flexibility. It's a complete 180 from that old-school company man loyalty. And this right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the downside. Just think about it for a second. Right when you were at your most vulnerable, forming your identity in middle school and high school, boom, platforms like Facebook and Instagram just explode onto the scene. And all of a sudden, everyone is basically encouraged to post this perfect, curated, highlight reel version of their life. That created this insane pressure to seem flawless all the time. Okay, so how does all of this actually translate into a worldview? Well, researchers have pointed to three core drivers that really shape how the bridge generation thinks and acts. Let's break them down. All right, first up is something called milestone agnosticism, and this one is a huge deal. It's basically rejecting that old traditional life script, the one that says you have to go to college, then get the job, then get married, then buy the house, all in that exact order. For the bridge generation, it's like, yeah, those are all great goals, but they can happen in any order, or maybe not at all. Life is seen more like a buffet you can choose from, not a rigid checklist you have to complete.
Okay, now look at this number.
So what's that about? Well, get this. As many as 90% of people from this group score way higher on tests that measure independence and self-reliance. And that points us directly to the second core driver, high autonomy. It makes sense, right? When you grow up having to navigate a world that's changing that fast, it teaches you to depend on yourself. You just learn how to figure things out on your own.
And that sense of self-reliance, well, it leads pretty naturally to our third and final driver. Because when you get really used to figuring things out for yourself, you start to look at all those old, top-down, traditional structures with, let's just say, a bit of a critical eye.
And that skepticism, it's aimed squarely at big, centralized institutions. We're talking about government, organized religion, even those rigid, old-school corporate ladders. The preference is for something flatter, more horizontal, where power is shared. A lot like the internet itself. Okay, so after hearing all that, you might be feeling a little bit like you're caught between two completely different worlds. But what if I told you that in-between status isn't a weakness? What if it's actually your greatest strength? What if it's your superpower? This right here is the key takeaway of this whole thing. You're not stuck. You're bilingual. You are completely fluent in the analog world of actual face-to-face human connection, and you're a native speaker of the digital world too. And that fluency gives you this incredible, unique toolkit. Think of them as your superpowers. First, analog empathy, that ability to just get human connection without a screen in the way. Then, digital fluency, the skill to navigate our modern world like it's second nature. And finally, unmatched adaptability, something that was basically forged in the fires of constant tech change. And listen, these aren't just little personality quirks. These are seriously valuable skills in today's world. So this all leaves us with one last, pretty powerful question to think about. As the very last generation to hold a living, breathing memory of the world before the internet, you are the bridge connecting what was to what is now. So the real question isn't just about what you went through. It's about what you're going to do with that one-of-a-kind perspective. What are you going to build on that bridge?